What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another amazing episode of Windland Adventure Resort. Back with episode 3, and to get things started, we go ahead and reroute the bus lane because I did not like how it turned out in the last episode, and it was immediately the first thing I wanted to change because since I wasn't happy with it, I wasn't going to roll with it, and that's kind of going to be the idea with this series in general. Is I don't want to move along with something until I'm pretty happy with it. So even if it means I need to change it in the following episodes or something. So that's going to be the first thing that we do here, because I think it just makes more sense to make a lane that goes off to the right instead of making some weird intersection that didn't look good to begin with. So I think it just makes more sense to have it go out to the right and head out this way and connect back onto the other side with the road and proceed into the entrance of the park. So it'll be really, really cool. So I think that turned out a little bit better, and it just overall just makes a lot more sense. So in today's episode, we're not going to be doing anything I would say incredibly exciting, but the end result is worth it because we do a lot of detailing and mostly just like finishing off a lot of stuff in between the hotel and of course the highway, basically connecting the highway with this first hotel and getting all those details in between. So that took a lot longer than I expected it to overall, but it ended up being fine because the end result obviously is really, really nice. So in the next episode, we'll probably be working a lot on the hotel details, such as like the pools, the pool for the hotel, and then some actual parking for the hotel. We kind of do a little bit of a parking in this episode by adding a parking garage. And now I know I said I wasn't probably going to add a parking garage, but I decided to here because it actually works very well for something specific that we get into later. When we do build that parking garage. Basically, if you have been watching the first few episodes, you'll know I have those cars and the buses that go around, that drive around. Well, I needed a way to hide those stations, those first stations, because that way they're not visible. So I figured, why not put in a parking garage, and I have all this space in that spot. Why not put a parking garage there, hide it, and put a little tunnel that leads into the highway. That way you can do the full loop, because I do have to have a place where those buses come back to the station, and I think pulling them into a parking garage would be pretty cool because it makes sense because the buses could be dropping people off in the parking garage, so that would be make sense. So I would think it would make sense that there would be a bus that would actually take them to the entrance of the park, and we can kind of blend it all together, and overall it'll be really, really good. We're also going to have, again, a bus that will drop people off at the hotel itself, which we already have that station built, and then we'll have a big bus drop-off area that will have guest spawners and also the second stations for those transport rides. That way they will be fully functional. I'm going to be putting, I already did in the hotel, we're going to be putting in guest spawners right next to those transport rides, so hopefully that the guests will ride them and get to the locations that they need to, basically. So that way they do that. And then also I would like to maybe have some guest spawners and have the guests actually walk into the park using the sidewalks and such like that. I think that'd also be a good idea as well, and that way you can have a good mixture of people utilizing the transport ride and also enough people that are going to be walking to the park as well, so you'll have a good mix, and hopefully it'll be nice and balanced overall, and will be a nice system. So everyone that kept going on in the comments saying like, oh, it'd be so cool if all of these were functional. Well, they actually are going to be. That's my plan, and we're going to get all those functional, and it will be such a cool experience to have all of the parking lot, the resort hotels, everything's going to be alive. So like the pools and the resort hotels, those are actually going to be functional. I want guests to be in there. So you're also going to have guests utilizing those pools and such like that as well. We'll have a rooftop bar on top of this particular hotel, so guests will be able to go up there and take in all the beautiful views of the park on the other side. I can't wait to see the views from that. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and to see the guests up there. And I did build, because we did build a little stairway that leads up to the top. There's not going to be any interiors in the hotels themselves, at least not at this moment. I have no plans of doing that at this moment. Maybe later down the line if I get bored, maybe we can do that later on. But right now, they're not going to have any interiors, because it will just be a lot of, in my opinion, unnecessary pieces that don't really need to go into the game. But if I feel like I have the ability to, we might add some interiors. Maybe at least the lobby, potentially. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll at least do the lobby at some point. But as of right now, they're just going to have 0 interior. They're just going to be a hidden spot for guest spawn points and everything like that. So that's going to be the idea behind that. And then again, hopefully the guests will actually utilize the transport rides with those buses. We're going to dress up those buses really cool once we get custom media available into the game. So my idea is to have some custom billboards that have like different logos and different stuff like that, and put them on the side of the buses. So that's why I haven't actually went in and detailed those buses just yet. So those will be really, really cool. And then of course we have what we've been working on here is this little parking lot for the Adventure Hotel, and that's basically going to be just a few parking spaces. This is going to be like the main lot for the hotel. That's what we're going to be utilizing the parking garage, and there's also going to be a decent little parking area over next to the hotel to the left side of it, and then the pool area is going to be behind the hotel for all that stuff, the pool and all that fun stuff, and all the resort ins and outs and such. And then of course we also work on some sidewalks as well for guests to actually walk to the park. So that will be really, really cool. And I didn't want to do anything too crazy with this parking lot. This is just going to be like, if you're checking in and everything, you have a place to park. If it's going to take longer, you know, or there's too many people at the front, this allows people to go park out front a little bit while they go check into their hotel, and then they can either go to the parking garage or go and park on the side if there is space. So there should be plenty of spaces for these guests in the end. So yeah, that was kind of the idea of what this front entrance is going to be a little bit, and all these curbs is what really takes the most time here, is just adding all these little curb pieces. But I feel like it adds a lot more to the road, and it makes the road look a little bit more like a road rather than a path. You know, I could just leave it with the in-game curbs and leave it at that, but I decided to cover them up with these kind of curbs that I feel look a little bit more like road curbs. So the only thing is it adds a lot more pieces overall into the build, which is fine for now. But and I find myself adding them to almost like every single road, which is just crazy. So that's interesting. And of course I wanted to do another little entrance front for the actual hotel itself, so you know where the entrance is. There's going to be this big sign that has the entrance, and there's also going to be a road sign that kind of leads you over there, pointing this is where you go for this hotel. And again, we're going to have some parking off to the left. You can see there's a lot of space right there between the road and the hotel. That's going to be a big parking lot for the hotel itself. And then again, behind it we'll have the actual pool area and everything like that. And yeah, just getting these cool little road signs for the Adventure Hotel, and it looks really cool in the end. So yeah, I think we ended up getting a lot more done than I was expecting here in this episode. So I think I recorded a little bit over 4 hours for this episode overall. So anyways, we're going to get into the little rooftop bar and actually work on it a little bit. I don't get it finished in this episode. I just kind of at least got the idea started. I had found some references for like some rooftop bars and everything. This is going to be kind of have like a very modernish kind of feel though. for overall, because it uses a lot of those clean white pieces, those white walls. And then I wanted to add some resort light, those little resort lights. I love these, and I think it does great for like a little rooftop bar area for sure. Have a lot of trash bins, of course. Make sure no one litters up here, and hopefully guests will actually come up here. My fear is that they won't, but I need to put enough stuff up here for guests to be attracted to come up into this area. So obviously we're going to have some actual counter pieces here, which will be functional and actually have some drink stands here. So those will be really nice. And I'll also put a couple of other hidden stands in here, like a restroom and stuff like that, and hopefully get enough up here to where guests will be attracted to actually walk up here. And who knows, maybe I'll even put in, potentially, if it doesn't work, maybe I'll throw in another guest spawner close to the top of the hotel. That way maybe they'll be more tempted to use that, all that up there. I think it would be really, really cool. So yeah, we have a lot going on here, because we're going to build this parking garage. And I had a nice, simple, just a simple inspiration for this that I found online for a parking garage. I wanted it to look really clean and very simple, very easy, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time detailing it, because it's mostly just a decoy to cover up the stations for this for these gosh dang cars and the buses overall. And I didn't want them to be super tall either, because I don't want it to block too much of the views of the hotel as you're driving up to it as well. So I don't want it to kind of get in the way, but it actually kind of adds to the skyline a little bit, if you ask me, which is really nice. So nothing too crazy here. I didn't add any parking lines just yet, and I would actually deem this as incomplete by the end of the episode. We actually still probably have a little bit more detailing to do on this parking garage. I just wanted to get it in place because I wanted to connect, again, the highway to the hotel, and we're getting all those details kind of in there. And I kind of am making myself a rule where I can't move on to the next area until I finish everything up. But there's a little exception to that, because I'm always have the bad habit of needing to jump around a little bit between spots, because I can't focus too long on one area without going crazy. But I made the way I've made it work for me really is just like work on something big and then have it in between like two big areas, like the highway and then the Adventure Hotel, and then we have all of this in the middle of it that connects the two. That's what I'm working on right now, and I can jump around between the hotel and this a little bit, so I'm not just working on the same thing the whole time. So I can kind of jump around and use all of that to my advantage. So it works really, really well, and so that's why in the next episode we're going to kind of push forward a little bit. I didn't want to work a lot on the hotel right now because I wanted to connect everything between the hotel and the highway and get those kind of good to go, because like it was very empty in this area and we needed to fill in all of this our available space. And I zoomed out multiple times, and we have still barely even used any of the world, which is the big my big goal here was to not use a ton of the space in the park for, you know, like parking lots and the resorts here. I wanted to maintain a lot of that space still while building all of this. So with that being said, we're basically getting a lot completed in the same area, and then again we're just going to have so much space still left, I think, and the way I'm going to build the second resort allows us to maintain so much more space. And I'm using this back corner, this corner that we're driving towards, that's going to be the main parking area, the parking lot for the parks themselves. And then we'll have like a little mini city walk. So if you know Universal, they have this little city walk, which has a lot of shops and stuff like that for Universal, that leads you up to both Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. You have both entrances kind of connected by the middle of it, which is City Walk. So we're going to do something kind of like that, where there's like a central area that has some shops, facilities, and really kind of leads you both. It's kind of like a big plaza area that's going to lead you to either park. So, and then eventually when we want to build a third park, I want to leave that open, that space open for the third park. We'll also kind of leave an expansion off of that plaza too, so we can actually expand it into there as well. That's going to be my goal for that. So my city walk is probably not going to be as big as Universal's. It's probably going to be like a little mini city walk. So kind of like, I'd probably make it like a little main street area that kind of has like lots of little different buildings and such, that really kind of blends the two different style parks together, because we're going to have Paradise Adventure and then Universe Adventure are going to be the two parks. Together they make the Adventure Resort. So, and then the third park will be pending. Later on, we'll continue the series once we get more updates in Planet Coaster and when I get an idea of what I want to do for that third park, potentially. So, but again, Paradise Adventure is going to be the water park that has kind of like a coherent theme through the entire area. And then, of course, Universe Adventure is going to be the Epic Universe inspired park that will have like the multiple themed lands, including like the central hub that is going to be kind of slightly space themed and kind of like Celestial Park. And then of course we're going to have the Viking themes, and then of course I do kind of want to do the mythology theme as well. I know I'm using a lot of the themes in the game, but I at least want to do the Viking theme, and most likely the mythology theme. I'm still slightly planning some stuff out as we get there. I'm just trying to obviously get this started, because I already know what I'm doing for the resorts. That is 100% certain and already planned out. So the parks are still a little bit pending on what is going to come, because we'll see once we get to the park. Maybe we'll already have the updates to where potentially you might have the older Planet Coaster 1 themes in the game, and we'll have all those pieces available to us again. That would be absolutely amazing, actually. I would definitely love to see some of the, not just the vanilla theme or the base game themes from Planet Coaster 1. I'd love to see some of the DLC themes as well, like the Spooky Pack, Adventure Pack, Studios. I think that would be amazing for Frontier. So hopefully they're not just looking at the base game themes. I would love to see them bring over some of the DLC themes as well. At least those few. I would definitely say Spooky would be number one on mine, and then Adventure, Studios. Those are kind of the three I would love to have back in the game again, because those are some of the best scenery pack themes I think that the game had overall, and I think those would go a long ways for giving us pieces in the game that will just allow us to do a lot more. I think we need a lot more animatronics in the game. We don't have a lot of animatronics, and expand off of those. And again, I would love to see more options for a lot of the animated pieces that we can do now with the, those pieces that you can attach scenery to and animate the scenery pieces. Hopefully we can get more of those potentially, so we can allow us to do even more animations for the scenery pieces as well. I did have a little frustrating moment here where the dirt pieces were decided to not line up and be the same angle, even though everything has been for sure flattened. I don't know what was going on with that, but I just worked around it, and I was like, I'm going to cover it up with a lot of foliage anyways, so I didn't make it a big deal, and I was just like, I'm just going to work around it instead of redoing everything. And sometimes you got to do that when you run into these situations, and I was just like, we'll just get some foliage in there and fix that up. Sometimes that's the best way to do it, is just throw some foliage in there and, just cover up those mistakes and those inconsistencies. That can sometimes save you, and it saved me a few times, especially here. And I didn't make a big deal out of it, because I was just like, you know what, we're just gonna cover it up. We're just gonna cover it up, and it'll be just fine. You know what? Ended up being just fine, and probably looks just as good as it would if it wasn't covered up. So, or if it was perfect. So, no need to go through that stress of redoing all that, because it already takes long enough to begin with all that already. So we're gonna get that going as well. But this is, I think, the point where I wanted to start creating some sidewalks, and I think these sidewalks are a little bit big, so I kind of want to tone them down a little bit. I think you will see me kind of make them a little skinnier. But I did want to have like little walkways for all of the guests that are walking from the parking lot or the resorts, and the guests that just have an option to walk rather than make it shuttle only, because you could have people that where maybe the shuttles stop running and you still have a way to get back to your hotel or parking lot and stuff like that. So having those walkways, I think, are pretty important, and they do also add quite a bit of visual. It makes the visuals of the parking lot a little bit nicer too. Just having those different colors and textures alongside the road itself. So, and again, I would like to have these guests be walking into the park as well, rather than just being transported, because I think it will help, obviously, with guest flow a lot more if not all of them can use the bus, because then it would take forever to get all the guests into the park. But make it an option to where they can do one or the other. I would love to see the trams actually come back into the game too, which was a tracked ride in Planet Coaster 1. But we do have these buses, and I absolutely love the buses. They're fantastic. But I do love having the trams from Planet Coaster 1 as well, because you'll see those quite commonly in parking lots also. And a lot of parks, have sort of those trams that go into the different lots for the park. So hopefully that's something we'll look into as well. Something I would also like to do is potentially have some backstage areas for the park as well, which I'll probably put in the back area of the parks. So once we get towards the back of the park, we'll have like maybe some employee lots back there or something along those lines, and just make everything look like it would be really functional in real life. So that'd be really cool. So with these sidewalks, I knew I had to create some form of crossing for some of these roads, so needed to make sure that I had those in there. And just obviously, when you have like these large open green spaces, just fill them up with some foliage and some scenery, and they look fantastic once you get them filled in overall. And that's one of my biggest tips when it comes to building in Planet Coaster. Once you just if you want to make something look good, just add a lot of trees and bushes to them. Like, it just adds so much to it because it kind of fills in all the empty spaces, and that's kind of like what makes it look a lot better. Is just it's not an empty space. Filling in every inch of your park, I think, is very important, and not having those open spaces, because that's where you can get into some trouble and trying to make stuff look at least somewhat good. And is when you have all those empty plots, but like just adding natural stuff and greens and everything, it literally does make everything look a lot better in the end. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out overall. It took me some time and a lot of just messing around to really get a result that I was happy with. I was getting a little nervous here because I knew I was gonna have to put in some like intersections here because I wanted to make a road where you can actually loop back around instead of exit the park. This is going to be the little stop spot where you can loop back around into the park, so you can go back in. So if you made the full loop around but you aren't exiting, you can still do that, and it also allows you to head back to the hotel as well. So you can actually get back to the hotel from the exit instead of exiting, because it's going to be a one-way street that goes all the way around the parking lot, and it goes to the entrance and all that stuff. So just making it a one-way street that goes all the way around. When you get to the end of it, you're exiting. So and then it will lead you back onto the on-ramp, and that's how it's going to look. So I did use some from the workshop some workshop items for these traffic lights, because I've had these for quite some time, and typically I like to build my own things, but I think for just traffic lights these work really, really well, and they are in the workshop and they're really fantastic, and there's a couple of them that are in the workshop, so I highly recommend them as well. Once we get to the real-time section, you guys, I think I have a little more information on that. So anyways, so yeah, I did get a suggestion to do like a little overview of everything we did in the real time. So we do have a real time section after this time lapse is done, to where I go over kind of like everything that we actually completed, and kind of like so you guys can see everything that's done that's not in the time lapse. So you guys kind of get a little bit of a real time kind of tour of everything that we kind of accomplished, and I might go over a little bit of my future plans for that as well. So keep a lookout. I'm going to start doing that from now on for these episodes, because it was a really good suggestion, so thank you guys for suggesting that. I don't really remember the exact name of who suggested that, but they did suggest that, and I thought it was a really good idea to have those real-time overview sections to kind of overview again what we've done in the episode. So I think that was really, really cool. So thanks for the suggestions. If you guys have any more suggestions to make these episodes even better, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. If you guys like the format that I like to do some really cool cinematic or fun little shots at the beginning. I don't have a whole lot to show off now, so you're seeing that bus ride a lot. But I think the cool idea is that each episode you'll see more and more of the park come together. Like there's going to be more views in the park each episode. So at the beginning of each episode, you're going to see more and more as the park gets fuller and fuller. You're going to get some really insane views. I can't imagine what that bus ride will look like when everything's completed. You'll get all the views of the park on the left-hand side of the highway, which will be really, really cool. I'm looking forward to that big time. And so let me know. Once we start to get in the park and stuff, we'll definitely have some more cooler shots and everything of that in the future. So, but for right now, the best shots I can do are kind of like that car ride that goes around, and then you get that really cool view of the hotel. So until we get some better shots, I know that's probably getting a little bit old with those shots, but I love doing those little cinematic pieces in the beginning. Like I said, I'm putting a lot more effort into editing and making these episodes longer, and really trying to get a lot more done and make these time lapses longer, so you guys can see a lot more footage than what I usually do. So these episodes are getting longer and longer every episode as well, I've noticed too. So I wouldn't doubt that we might run into some episodes that end up being over an hour long at some point. But these first few, we've kept them all within 30 or so minutes, like between 30 and 40 minutes. So each episode's getting longer though. I'm putting more and more in each episode, because like I want to get into the park. I know you guys want to as well, so I want to try and get through as much as I can with these these parking lots episodes. I know are probably going to be like, parking lots, you know. when do we get into the fun stuff, you know? But just be patient with me. Once we get into there, I promise it's going to be amazing. Like I can't believe I'm having so much fun with a parking lot right now, and I think it's more so because we're creating the hotels as well, which also look awesome. So but that's gonna about do it for this time lapse, guys. We're gonna do a little overview in real time, so you guys can get an idea of what it looks like in real time and everything that we did there. So anyways, we are gonna get into the real time section, so hang tight, and I will see you in just a moment. Alright guys, welcome to the real-time overview to kind of review in real time everything that we've gotten done today in this episode. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. So obviously we already had the structure of this hotel already built, but we did a lot of detailing and really just filling in the gaps on connecting the hotel to the road, and we also have a nice new parking garage, which still needs a lot of details, but we at least got the shaping of it. And to describe a little bit, my ideas behind the main purpose of this is to hide the those tracked rides that are going to house the buses and the cars, and that arrive on the roads, and they will return into this parking garage when they come back. Because I did realize I had have to get these tracked rides back into their stations at some point, and I needed to make sure I had something here to kind of hide it and for those to put in there. So that's the main reason of this parking garage. I know I said that I wasn't a big fan of having parking garages, but this is going to be probably the only one, and it was mainly just to kind of hide that up that way. And I also built like this little tunnel that leads out of it that will lead us into back into the highway. So I kind of made it a mission to kind of hide the tunnel a little bit, so you almost don't see that that tunnel's there, but it is just more for an illusion more than anything. Of course, we added this little brick wall piece, which would house a elevator and stairway to get to the different levels for the parking garage and everything. So of course we do, once again, do need to do some more detailing on that. It's just kind of in its very basic form right now. But going over here into the Adventure Hotel entrance, now we have a lot of roads and a little bit of parking spaces here for kind of like the lobby. So these aren't going to be like main parking spots. This is kind of parking spots if you're like checking in or something like that. And then of course we have another parking garage over here for additional parking for the hotel as well. So this is mostly would probably be for hotel parking more than anything. And I did realize that I should probably have a lot of sidewalks as well everywhere. That way you can reach the park if you would rather walk to the park or walk over to the hotel, you can. So I mainly wanted to make sure that I had plenty of walkways for that. And of course that means we're going to have some interesting intersections coming in here that this is where it starts to get a little bit complex, but I'm pretty happy of how this turned out. So this is the exit road. It is going to have one big loop around for the parking lot and for the hotels, and then you're going to have a one-way enter, one-way exit. This is going to be a road where you can either go back around the loop, or you can go straight into the... I needed to make sure I could connect it to the parking garage, because once our buses get done with their route, they're going to have to come back in here and drive back into the parking garage and start their cycle over again for those tracked rides to make it around the loop. So that way we can have cars and buses driving around, and my goal is to have guests actually use them, so we will eventually get another guest spawner in here with an entrance and exit for this, and that way guests will actually ride this tracked ride all the way around. So that way, again, that it is more functional as well. So guests will also do that. We're going to have a separate station for those tracked rides near the entrance of the park. That way they can drop the guests off at the front entrance, or the city walk as we're going to have it. We're going to have kind of like our own little city walk like Universal does. It's going to be a very smaller version of it. It's not going to be very big because I want to save a lot of the space, obviously, for the park itself. So that is going to be that. But I wanted to kind of start getting more of the road details and just kind of like how this is all going to shape out. I know this looks very probably complicated at first. And again, I'm no expert at designing roads or anything like that, so it is very chaotic a little bit, and probably not the most... I know it's probably not the best in the world. Again, it is nice that we rerouted the bus lane into the right side here, mostly because I think it looks a little bit nicer, and we didn't have to cross over, and it just flows in to the park a lot better. So I did use also, of course, we have these amazing stoplights that are on the workshop as well. Not my work, but I thought they looked really good, so I decided to use them for the build. You can download them on the workshop as well. I think the name was, it was by like, it started with a D, like ESO or something like that, is the one responsible for those. Very, very well done, and I really like these, and I'll probably use them more. So as we get more signs and more roads down the line. So as for future plans, which will probably start on the next episode, which I was kind of hoping we get in this next episode, but man, this took a lot longer than I expected to get all this detailing down, mostly because of like all the curbs and foliage just took a lot more out than I was expecting. So, but when we come back, I do want to start on the back side of the resort where we're going to have our pool area, and we're going to have some more additional parking for the resort as well, which is going to be this area right here, and we'll have the pool area here alongside with some more parking, and then that'll lead us back into the main parking, which will be in this corner. This back corner is going to have a lot of the main parking for the regular park itself, and also which will lead us into our second resort hotel, which will be right over here around this cliffside, around this area, which is I plan on putting on the edge here next to kind of elevated, utilizing this little hill / cliff, and we're going to create that resort as well, which will be the resort themed for the water park, and it'll lead you into the water park. So that is about it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. If you want to see these episodes a day early, be sure to hit that subscribe plus button and become a member today, and you'll be able to have access to all my videos early, and these episodes will be out on Wednesdays, so for members. So anyways, make sure you guys have a great day. Cooler tomorrow. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, and goodbye.